Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Now you probably don't know this about me because I've literally never said it ever, but I am quite the gamer gal. Can the video just be over? Can we just be done? That was like too much. But for real, I do love playing video games. I've played video games my whole life ever since I was a little boy. I used to play a lot of Mario games like Super Smash Bros. I used to play The Legend of Zelda, and I played a little bit of Grand Theft Auto. I'm sure most of you are familiar with Grand Theft Auto. If you're not, go look it up. Like, I don't know how to explain it to you other than like, I mean, it's Grand Theft Auto. Like, how do you not know? Just remember thinking like this is a big kid game. There's a lot of guns, a lot of violence. It's always been over the top, just like super over the top. And so when I saw this specific Twitter thread that we're gonna be talking about today, I was surprised. Rockstar Games, which is the creators of, Grand Theft Auto, apparently they got rid of the trans characters in the game. I'll be honest with you, I didn't know there were trans characters in the game. It has been a while since I played, so maybe when I was younger I was aware of them and I just forgot. But before I saw this tweet, I was like, what trans characters? What are you talking about? There's some trans characters. They're there. In today's video, we're going to talk about what the changes include, but also a little bit of the criticism surrounding this. Because of course, any trans thing ever, there's going to be critics. There's going to be people saying, you woke little snowflake ass baby, you don't need to do that. I post new videos every single week here on my channel, so if you guys are not yet subscribed, go ahead and do that right now. Go ahead, I will wait for you. Also, as I wait, do you guys play video games? What kind of video games do you like? Have you been playing Elden Ring? I have, that bitch is hard. Are you done? Thank you very much. With no further ado, let's get right into this video. I was gonna say this game, but it's not a game. We're talking about a game, it's a video. Let's go. So the tweet thread that I'm going to be talking about today is from a Twitter user by the name of Kirsty Cloud. The tweet says, in new generation Grand Theft Auto 5 and Grand Theft Auto Online, Rockstar appears to have disabled the trans caricatures or quote-unquote drag queens from spawning outside cockatoos. This could be following a plea from Outmaking Games last year. I hope this provides comfort to anyone who felt these NPCs depicted harmful stereotypes. So I'll link the full letter from Outmaking Games in the description if you're interested in checking it out, but the most important or key parts to me were the following paragraphs. 2020 was one of the most violent years for trans people since recording began. In 2020, over 350 trans and gender diverse people were murdered. Unlike for other random NPCs in GTA 5, the game appears to purposely play into extremely harmful stereotypes of trans and gender diverse people to encourage players to be repulsed by them and even relish hurting and killing them. We reject any argument of equal opportunity violence against all types of characters in GTA 5. That argument is missing the point. Given the cultural impact GTA 5 has around the world, Rockstar has a social responsibility to your players, many of whom may be LGBTQ+, to your staff, and to the world at large to not promote violence against trans and gender diverse people. In this original cited article on Kotaku, we see some of this representation. You guys, does it stink in here? Or is that just you? Definitely you, because it's not me. Thank God for today's sponsor, Scentbird. I've worked with Scentbird many times here on my channel, so I'm sure you all are very familiar with the brand. But if you're not, Scentbird is a luxury fragrance subscription service where every single month you can pay $16 and get a luxury perfume sent to you in one of these little vials to try out. That is how much you get, quite a bit in there. They have over 600 different brands on Scentbird for men, for women, for non-binary people. Whoever you are, there's a scent on there for you. They carry top brands like Prada, Gucci, Versace, which I'm sure you all know are very expensive. And personally, I just feel a little nervous spending that much money on a perfume that I don't even know if I like. So before I buy a perfume, I always see if Scentbird carries it to see if I can try it out for a tiny percentage of the original cost. They have a really simple quiz on their website that helps you pick out scents that you might like, which is really helpful for me because when I first started using Scentbird, I didn't really wear perfume. So I didn't know what kind of scents I liked. I didn't know what my signature fragrance was gonna be. Being able to try out these scents for, a very affordable cost was really helpful. This month I received the Skylar Clean Beauty Fall Cashmere. It smells like cinnamon, it's real nice. I also got the Michael Germain Sexual Noir, the Commodity Gold, as well as the Burberry Brit. If I had to pick a favorite out of these four, I think it would be the Burberry British Edition, Brit EDT, I don't know. Also this case, they're all interchangeable. So if you like one case in particular, you can just keep it and then, put the new one in. But it's like a matte rubber. I don't know. It's so nice though. So yeah, if you're interested in trying out a new perfume, a new cologne, a new fragrance, whatever you want to call it, make sure to use my coupon code for 55% off, meaning one of these little vials is literally just $7 for your first month. Versace for $7? Are you kidding? Thank you so much, Scentbird, for sponsoring today's video. And now let's get into it. Carolyn Petit, the author of the article, says, the way Rockstar designed GTA 5's trans people actively plays into the hateful stereotypes harbored by many transphobic players. The trans sex workers you can encounter with their garish makeup and prominent penis bulges seem calculated to be ridiculous and repulsive to players who bring their pre-existing transphobia to the game with them. It's as if they're designed specifically so that some players could relish hurting and killing them because they are trans. There's no getting around it. These are definitely supposed to be stereotypical caricatures of a trans person, or what people, perceived trans people to be back in 2013 when the game came out. Not that there's anything wrong with looking like this. There are masculine trans women. I'm not saying there's a problem with it. It's giving very much transgender social experiment like the ones from Steven Crowder. However, it is worth mentioning that these NPCs are apparently called drag queens. I don't know where exactly they're called drag queens. Like, it says that they're labeled them. I don't know what that means. Like, maybe in the files, or like if you go up to them, maybe it says drag queen or something like that. I don't know. And if you don't know, drag queens are different than trans people. Drag queens are typically cisgender men that put on makeup and dress up like a woman, or dress up like the stereotype of a woman for performance and for art's sake. Trans people, they don't do it for art's sake. That's just who they are. You know what I'm saying? I saw another tweet from somebody named Yangi Young, and it says, as a non-binary person, these models never really caused any upset with me, as I just saw them as drag queens rather than a representation of trans women. I mean, that's literally what their model is named as. I think it was transphobic people themselves who labeled these characters as trans women, which created the overall idea that these were heavily stereotyped NPCs. Rockstar's intentions aside, I think the adjusted viewpoint from players and the change in representation of the NPCs due to such makes removal of them spawning in GTA Online make sense at the minute. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm definitely glad that some people did not view these characters as harmful depictions of trans women. I'm all about not viewing something as a harmful depiction of a trans person. I'm all about it. But I really don't think that that was the norm. Obviously, I don't know what Rockstar's intentions were back in 2013. Maybe they were super woke. Maybe they did know the difference between trans women and drag queens and were legitimately trying to portray a drag queen. Or, probably 90+% of the people in 2013, they didn't know the difference. They thought they were all the same. Like I said, I don't know. I don't know which of the two it was. Maybe they didn't know, maybe they did know. Who knows? Who knows? I mean, I will say that the models in the game did have some very questionable dialogue lines. Like, some of them talked about being pre-op or, going on hormones, or how their transition is going. None of which are very common for drag queens. Like, drag queens don't typically transition or go on hormones or have surgeries. If they were supposed to be drag queens, they shouldn't be saying that kind of stuff, right? Also, as Kirsty Cloud pointed out in her Twitter thread, in the PC files of the game, these characters are labeled transvestites. Yeah. So again, not a drag queen, but also not trans women. Transvestites are different than trans women and drag queens. So personally, I don't really buy the whole, they're just drag queens. They're just supposed to be people doing drag, blah, blah, blah. Back then, 10 years ago, 10 years ago, that's what people thought trans people were. They just thought that we were men putting on makeup and doing stuff for fun or whatever. They didn't distinguish between drag and between being trans and being a transvestite. It was just all lumped together in one. I mean, if you watch videos from back in 2013, 2014, 2015, right around when the game came out, if you watch people playing the game and interacting with these models, they don't call them drag queens. They call them transgenders. They call them trans. They call them the T-slur.
These are like some gay guys, and this is just so disturbing, but...
If that's a chick, oh my goodness, that is one ugly chick. Let's check it out. Whoa. Yeah. She's got more 5 o'clock shadow than I do. Got a hairier chest than I do. But that's where you can find the transgender community here in GTA.
I don't think anybody at that time would have picked up on the differences between drag queens and trans people unless, they were in the community themselves, or if they had a lot of knowledge on the terminology for whatever reason. But I don't think that, a typical player was going to understand those differences. I've even seen people making videos about this whole situation this week, where they talk about these characters, they talk about these NPCs and refer to them as trans. They refer to them as trans women. I highly doubt there was more of an understanding 10 years ago about the difference between trans and drag than there is this week. I haven't played the game, but according to this Twitter thread, these NPCs have been removed. I think these NPCs are still in some versions of the game, like the director's version of the game. I don't even know what that means, but in some versions they are still there, but their dialogue lines about hormones and about being pre-op have been removed. Maybe that's to make them so that people don't confuse them as much, you know what I mean? So if they're wanting to play as a drag queen or, you know, whatever the director's cut version is for, I don't know if that like lets you play as them or something, but maybe they kept them in there without the lines so that they could just actually be a real drag queen instead of being this confusing mixed match of like, is it drag? Is it a trans person? Drag queens do exist. They could have kept those NPCs in and just made it more clear that they're not trans. Made it more clear that they're drag queens. Revised their dialogue lines about, you know, going on hormones and being pre-op. Maybe make them say something about their performance that night or doing their drag makeup or something. I don't know. I mean, I'm not a game comedian, so I'm sure there's a joke in there somewhere. And to be honest, I feel like it would have been kind of cool to have drag queens in the game. Now I'm missing out. When you label a character drag queen and then say that they're taking hormones and they're gonna have surgery and their transition's going so well, not only are you equating the two, which is harmful in itself, but you're confusing people. You're creating the perception that trans women are all just people doing drag. There have been concerns, however, that even if they were just drag queens, that there is still a considerable lack of knowledge around the differences between trans people and drag queens, so the effect would still be the same. Right now, I mean, for a while, but especially right now, the world is just not a nice, friendly place to trans people. We're targeted by everybody from lawmakers making laws to make our lives harder, if not impossible, to abusive lovers or abusive men targeting us because we're trans. Like, trans women are already mocked and harassed and attacked constantly. I know there's gonna be people out there that are like, well, I just want to beat up a drag queen. I'm not transphobic, blah, blah, blah. Same girl, same. I don't think that somebody's going to come across a drag queen in the game and feel the need to go out and take it out on real life trans people or real life drag queens. I don't think that's necessarily what's going to happen. The way that we perceive people in media is powerful, especially marginalized groups and people that we may not have a lot of contact with in real life. But again, like, there's no way of getting around it. These characters, these NPCs are the archetype of what parody about trans people back in the day was.
If that's a chick, oh my goodness, that is one ugly chick.
Movies, TV shows, games, literally everything all had these horrible representations and this horrible stereotype of trans people that looked exactly like this. And collectively, in combination with the no exposure that people had to real life trans people, it created a perception of what trans people looked like, of who trans people were. And it's not like people are like, oh yeah, okay, that's a trans person. I see them. There they are. That's what all trans people are. Duh, got it. No, that's not how it works. That's not what I'm trying to say. That's the thing with media. It influences us in very subtle but extremely powerful ways. Most of the time, we don't even realize that it's influencing us. In addition to the NPCs being removed though, somebody on Reddit by the name of J Prospero noticed another difference in the new version. They found that a toy on the wall of an arcade, I think it's an arcade, but they found that this toy has been removed. The toy on the wall is an action figure. It's called Captain Space Toy and it's named Interstellar Transgender. I think that's kind of funny, honestly. That part's funny. Interstellar Transgender, kind of cute. I'm gonna change my Twitter name to that. But when you look at it, again, it's a very stereotypical portrayal of a trans woman. And then it also says interchangeable genitalia, which like, I guess is, I don't know. I don't know. It's just a trans joke. You can change your genitalia. And the new game, it has been edited so that the toy next to it replaces that one, so it's no longer there. To be honest, the toy seems a lot less problematic to me, especially when you compare it to the NPCs that we just saw. Like, this is such a minuscule part of the game. Like, you can't interact with the toy. It's not part of any of the missions or anything. It's literally just like a background in one of the shots. Maybe when they were like fixing the trans stuff, they just like typed trans into their like systems or whatever and that like popped up. So like, okay, we'll just remove this one too. I could give less of a fuck that this action figure is not on the wall anymore. Like, I really don't care. It's fine. I'm not gonna miss it. And also, I think it's really cool that they are making an effort to make the game less harmful to trans people and like the trans community. At the moment, these are the only two differences that people have been able to find. I'm interested to see if they will make changes to the other things in the game. Like, there's a postal system in the game. It's very similar to like a UPS or something like that. And it's called post-op in reference to like a post-operation trans person or whatever. And like their motto and their logo and all this stuff is references to a trans person. Like, their motto is no longer just mail and your package is safe in our hands. Honestly, I think that's so funny. I think that's great. Those are the kind of trans jokes that I can get behind because they're just funny. However, somebody online pointed out that the company's logo is also a reference to trans people, and this one that I kind of took issue with. This article, this little discussion board that I found online says, the company's logo is also a play on the phrase axe wound. The postal box flag appears like an axe above a gash, hence the axe wound and the gash, which are appropriate terms for the reassigned genitalia. If you're gonna make these changes, make them where they count, you know? Grand Theft Auto is an interesting example though, because like I said, if you're familiar with the game, it's all very over the top. It's jam-packed with stereotypical depictions and problematic portrayals. Like, its controversialness is kind of what it's known for. There's tons of racist stereotypes. I'm sure there's tons of sexist stereotypes. Like, it's not like this is something that is unique to trans people, which is something that a lot of the critics of this change have pointed out. You know, it's an equal opportunity offender. Everybody is stereotyped. Everybody can be beat up. Rockstar Games should not have had to take this out. This woke mob is going crazy. They're out of control. Let me just say, Rockstar Games made this decision on their own. They were not forced to do this. This was just them like, okay, we're gonna revise the game for the 50th time. Let's just make these little changes and sneak them in there. They didn't even make a statement about it. It's not like they were like, we want to be woke. We want to conform to what the woke mob wants. And they have every right to do that. Duh. Now, all that being said, I do somewhat understand the perspective of like, the whole game is a stereotype. Like, even if they were stereotyping trans people or drag queens or whoever, they stereotype everybody. So like, it's kind of on theme. To be honest, I don't have a firm, like, this is how I feel about it. I think they should have removed them and this is why, blah, 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 blah. I don't really know. I mean, I guess all I can say is I think that the pros outweigh the cons. The things that were removed are insignificant. It's a texture on the wall. It's an NPC that literally doesn't do anything in the game besides stand outside and talk about how they're on hormones and talk about how their transition is going and provide the gamer something to laugh at and something to ridicule. The average gamer, the average player probably would not have even noticed these differences. But trans people did. Trans people were upset seeing parodies of themselves being brutalized in playthrough videos in ways that are grossly similar to the ways that real life trans people are murdered, beaten, and killed in the streets as a form of entertainment. In a perfect world where trans people weren't actually dying in ways that are so similar to things that are possible in the game, maybe they would have kept them. Maybe Rockstar Games wouldn't have felt the need to remove these characters. If anybody is to blame for these characters being taken out, it's not the woke mob. It's the people killing us. So yeah, like I said, like I could care less that they're being taken out, honestly, but I know that some people are definitely upset. You know, they feel like everything is being censored and they can't have like artistic freedoms or whatever. Let me know what you all think down below. Do you think that this was ridiculous? Do you think that it was unnecessary? Do you think that it was extremely necessary? Do you not care like me? But yeah, if you guys enjoyed this video, please make sure to give it a thumbs up down below. If you want me to start a gaming channel and I can play as a little trans girl in Grand Theft Auto, let me know. Oh my god, imagine. How fun would that be? Make sure to subscribe if you are not already and you would like to be. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye everyone.